Trendwave is up next. Elizabeth Musa joins us all the way and tells us what is the latest. Elizabeth, a sad story occurred that's got in social media agog with news of a teenager engaging in explicit acts and conduct. Well, I'm sure you have all the stories for us, so bring it on.
I really have to take a deep breath there. Yes, Joe Oluchi, good morning. Really, Chrisland School, Lagos, has been accused of covering up the alleged rape of a 10-year-old female pupil. It was gathered that the female student participated in the Truth or Dare game in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, alongside others while representing the school in the World School Games between the 10th of March and the 13th of March in Dubai. The news, which was first reported by Nigerian blogger and music executive Ubi Franklin in a tweet on Sunday, said the girl was raped by a fellow student. She was videotaped and shared on Instagram, while he also added that the school covered up the incident for a month until the victim's parents discovered themselves. He followed this with a video of the mother of the child, which we're about to see now. Let's take a look at this video.
To everyone to help me out. A month ago, I was on my way out of Lagos. So I got a call from Mrs. Azike, a head teacher from Chrisland. So she called me that she needed to see me. I said, okay, that I'll come when I return back. When I got to the school, I met her with two other women in her office. One introduced herself as Mrs. Kemi. I can't remember her surname, and the other one. So that they came from Chrisland headquarters. I said, okay, is there a problem? They said no. That they just wanted me to know that my daughter, whom I left in their care, that they took to Dubai, that she had a kiss with a boy, and the boy also kissed her. So they found out that they got that kissing thing from True and Dare. So I said, okay, if it is that I will curtail that. What they wanted me to do was.
Now, Chrisland School authorities, having a letter dated April the 14th of this year, said that the girl's parents said she was that she was the ringleader of the Truth or Dare game held in Dubai. The school disclosed that other schoolmates who took part in the game had been suspended. They also added that the girl and her parents did not cooperate during the investigation. Meanwhile, let's also note that Lagos State government on Monday announced the shutdown of all Chrisland schools in the state following the allegation. The Commissioner of Education also added that circulation of this video involving these children is a punishable offense, a 14-year punishable offense. Now, let's see how Nigerians are reacting to this unfortunate news on social media. Joe Oluchi, I must say it's a really unfortunate, a very, very sad story to, encounter. But let's see how Nigerians are reacting to this before I come to you, John Oluchi. Now, that one is from Atinuke. Atinuke says, Chrisland School said the kids played Truth or Dare. That means there was a dare. It's true that a 10-year-old can't give consent. All the boys involved are also below 18 and can't give consent. So rape is questionable here. Bad parenting and poor supervision from the school is at work here. That is how Atinuke feels about this particular story. This one is from Omojua. Omojua says, Chrisland is not an isolated incident. It is the norm. And what happened with those Chrisland kids isn't a vice reserved for so-called posh schools, in quotes. Now it says that's the norm, rich kids or poor. The problem is that schools like Chrisland should be the exception, but they stay failing. That is Omojua's take on this issue. Now, this one is from Lege Logistics. Lege says, why did the school not report to their parents immediately? Why would they go and do a pregnancy test for the girl without the parents' consent? According to her mom, that's where they got it wrong. And I agree with Lege on this one. Now, let's take a look at more reactions on this particular story. Ella Black says, it's sad to see that nobody mentioned the possibility of the child being the victim herself. When a child has this much sexual knowledge at the tender age of 10, everyone involved in her life should be a suspect. Someone close to her has been molesting that poor child. That's how Ella Black feels about this particular story. there were loads and loads and tons of reaction. That is the top story in Nigeria at the moment, Joe and Oluchi. I just want to hear what you make of this story.
I mean, it keeps one wondering, especially when you have children. You keep wondering, what is the future for these children? And I dare say here that it's not a case of, oh, this is the reason why I need to leave the country and take my children abroad. It's global. These are the things that children must face, and these are the things that parents must face. For me, I'm going to go with the fact that, first of all, I'm going to ask that they probe the school. Why? Because why would you have to take the child on a medical test without informing the parents first? Now, I think that's where they got it all wrong. You should have informed the parents first. And secondly, I mean, I appreciate what the Lagos State government has done, coming out to say anyone who is because what you're circulating, if you engage in circulating that video, you're engaging in child pornography. Exactly. And anyone who circulated is liable to 14 years imprisonment. And I agree with that. So it helps to stop the spread of that. But of course, it's social media. Anything can be spread without anyone coming out to say, I did it. But it's a sad situation for me. It begs the question that parents, what is our responsibility? And teachers, do we have moral education still in our schools today, in our curriculum? Oluchi?
Do we still have that? Well, I can say for my son's school, when I did revision with him prior to his examination, I did see that in his in one of his subjects where I took with him, when we were talking about physical touch, good touch, a bad touch, an example, and this was brought in where it was clearly stated that the act of kissing is a bad physical touch. I was really stunned to see that there, because I didn't see that coming. But yes, so some schools do have that. But let's also not forget that Chrisland is not new to sexual controversy. In 2018, remember the 46-year-old teacher that did molest and assault a 2-year-old pupil in that same school. But at this point in time, the school did come out. They've given their own version. They said, according to the report that we're seeing in social media, they've come out to say that no test of such was carried out, or rather, a COVID-19 test was carried out on the students when they came back into the country. But a big question a lot of people have been wondering is, why did it take you up to 1 month to get across to the parents? They also responded to that. They came out and they said that they did try to reach out to the parents, but for one reason or the other, the parents took a while to respond. My question is, if this was a corpse, would it have stayed for up to a month for you to contact the parents?
And you know,
would you have just done this over the telephone?
I'm just going to come in here. You know, there's a role that teachers have to play, the schools have to play. There's also a role parents have to play. Right. It's a societal issue. And there's an interesting post I came across on social media where Wizkid's, one of Wizkid's baby mama, who's known as Olua Nishola, she made a post on social media saying that, you know what, the school was actually very, very strict in terms of how they conducted activities in Dubai. But some of the students are actually very, in her words, she made mention of the fact that maybe perhaps some of the students are actually very loose, that the school actually did rounds, up to 3 to 5 rounds in that where they were lodged, you know, going around to see that everything is in check. She said, you know, they had a ratio of about 70 students to 5 to 6 teachers, which means that these teachers can't actually sleep in the rooms of the students. So if they did their own part in terms of, you know, going to check to see that everything is intact, the students are in their on their beds and all that, and then the students still went after midnight to, you know, perform all these funny games, then she said, you know, in this kind of case, she wouldn't want to call it a rape incident. Now, that post really struck me. And then she ended it with, charity begins at home. And I'm not going to say that this case was not rape, but I'm going to say that at the end of the day, parents also have a role to play.
I agree, Elizabeth. I also saw one of the letters that the school sent to the parent, to the mother in question. And in it says that the child should be punished. That's the first word that was used. Punished, reprimanded, and rehabilitated. In a case like this, punishment shouldn't be the first call to action. That's just for me. It shouldn't be the first call to action. No. You should find out why the child is this knowledgeable in this field. Somebody, some people somewhere are suspect that child is too young to have that kind of knowledge. That's one thing.
And I would say they should really protect that little girl at the moment, because they should protect her at all costs.
All the
because
children,
this is emotionally damaging. This is physically damaging. Every area, it's actually very damaging for a child.
All right. Okay.
Now we have to actually move on from this story. Now social media is awash with news of the arrest of Ovaioza Unisa, the CEO of Ovaioza Group of Companies, for alleged Ponzi scheme. Now this suspect, which is popular on Facebook, is the co-owner of Ovaioza Farm Produce Storage Business, OFPSB, a company which engages in processing, storage, distribution, and retailing of farm produce such as plantain and garri. Now, this lady in question, Ovaioza, is accused of scamming hundreds of people's money, running into billions of naira. Now, a number of affected people have called out Ovaioza on social media, saying they invested millions into a buying and selling business, but have been scammed by this businesswoman with her sending fake alerts to them. Now, she was allegedly planning to leave the country with her husband, David, which she married, according to a few months ago, when the officers apprehended her in Abuja. Now, this case is being handled by the First Criminal Investigations Department. Now, Ovaioza is reported to have offered investors a huge return on investment. Now, once she claimed to have bought a plaza in the nation's capital, Abuja, for more than 500 million. This same property was put on sale for 500 million on a trading website, Joe Oluchi, after it expired. Now, we'll have to keep an eye on this story as it unfolds, because it's actually really alarming to see how many people fall for Ponzi schemes like this one. But let's see how people are reacting to this story on social media. Now, that one is from Get Talking with Esther. Esther says, Ovaioza and her husband David at the police station. They are at the police station after they were arrested for scamming their investors. I usually don't do call-outs, but this one hit home. I have friends who invested silently. I pray they get their money back, even if it's just the capital. Now, that's a photo of Ovaioza and her husband David in the police station, looking different from what we used to know them to be. Now, we had more and more reactions on this particular story. Get Talking with Esther continues. She says this same person, two different scenarios, meets the low-budget Anadeve that scammed people to the tune of 3 billion naira on Facebook. Now, when I think of 3 billion naira, I'm just thinking that's a whole lot of money. Now, she said I have friends who invested as well. Some people are heartbroken and distraught as they gave her all their life savings. And we had more and more reactions on this one. Ernest says, the rate at which Nigerians are losing money to Ponzi schemes and fraudulent organizations is at an all-time high. It breaks my heart that even with the level of poverty, people are still losing the little they have, all because of ignorance, greed, and bad governance. And that is how people are reacting to this particular story on social media, Joe and Oluchi. I'm saying 3 billion naira. That's a whole lot of money to have scammed people of. How does she do it?
Talk about hashtag inventing Ovaioza. That's all I have to say.
You know what pains me about this story, this type of story? Most of us are very, very smart up in there, and we're very, very business savvy. We have the ideas and we can also execute them. So what stopped her from carrying out the execution and ensuring that this business becomes a multi-billion-dollar business where she gets to pay people back their money, expands the business across not just in Abuja but in Nigeria, employ people, become an employer of labor, grow the brand so big that you could also have international affiliations and so on. You just need to think, not think towards making it a scam.
Joe,
because there are also stories that she bought cars for her friends out of the money.
There's also the fact that they say she does lots of giveaways on social media. That's also the thing with Nigerians. People get carried away with this act of charity that people do on social media, not questioning the source of this money. People just go, like, you're giving your friends cars, you're giving people millions on social media. Where's this money coming from?
Period.
I mean, but you guys, let's not forget that scamming people is not a walk in the park. You need to be smart to an extent.
You actually
smart.
She was walking the path of inventing honor. Let's not forget that. That lady, pretty young, was doing marvelously well in scamming the high and the mighty. So you see, sometimes you might be smart, but you might not be so smart. There might be someone who's just out there waiting for you to fall prey to their situation.
But the truth is, she's actually very smart to have 5 businesses. She has one business, Relax and Chill. I don't know what that means, but she has Relax and Chill. She has, this trading and storage business.
I think we should start having conferences and start to give people some orientation on how they could use their ideas rather than scam, but use it to for your own profit and also the profit of the entire society.
Joe, people are trying to do that, Joe. Trust me, a lot of these scammers, when you sit down and interview them, you get to hear how much they've tried so hard to earn a living, but it seems like that's not working for them. A lot of them don't wake up one morning and decide to be scammers. Trust me, they have watched,
but that's not
observed.
An excuse.
It's not in any way.
It's not an excuse anyway, and we wouldn't condone that. So I think she should actually face the wrath of the law. If I were in charge of that lawyer, or if I were the lawyer or the judge, trust me, you're going to really stay longer in jail. Trust me, you will. You need to serve that time. I mean, if, like they say, if you're not ready to do the, I mean, how is it said? If you're not ready to, anyway, you know what? Thank you so much.
You know what?
Elizabeth
We'll
Musa.
just keep an eye on this story, Joe and Oluchi. Thank you for having me.
That's it. Thank you. Thank you for being here.